All right. Welcome, one and all, to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. I am John, and I am here with Brian. He's drinking his coffee. Look at that smile. Look at that smile. He's got the phone in one hand, juggling it, driving, drinking coffee. How many violations of the DMV code are you performing currently?
Dude, my driving record is spotless.
I am not arguing that, you know?
Spotless. They
Okay.
find nothing wrong with my driving. In fact, uh,
Oh boy.
you could go to certain DMV links and you'll see videos of me as a tutorial on how to follow the rules of the road.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure that's what's going on, you know? Yeah, and I'm sure there's tutorials out there by Frank McCourt showing you how to run a major league franchise too. Hey, there was no offenses, but hey, hello. All right. How was the 4th of July for you?
Pretty casual. No big major things. Actually, worked half the day, and then one of the boys came over with
Okay.
his family, the grandson, and his in-laws. This was like a impromptu thing, wasn't planned, but yeah, I had a little hangout, barbecued up some meat,
Okay.
steaks for everyone. Celebrate America. There you go.
Steak so plenty. God bless. Red, white, and blue. All right. Talking about the red, white, and blue, let us talk about the Washington Nationals and the train wreck that they are. They fired Dave Martinez and Mike Rizzo, their coach and GM. What do you think about the Washington Nationals? They're just a dumpster fire. What am I going to say since they won the World Series in 2019? What's your thoughts?
Yeah,
Uh,
well, since they won the World Series, uh, let's see what happened. Immediately after that, one of their best players, their third baseman, left in free agency. I guess that's a good thing for them, right?
that
Because if
was
they
a
had
good
kept
thing.
that
I mean,
guy,
if you're going to sit there and say Rendon signing is, I mean, think about this. They made one and they lost one. They re-signed Strasburg after the World Series, right? And basically he
yeah,
never pitched again. And then Rendon they let walk out the door. And
he
I
basically
mean,
never played again.
yeah. I mean, the Angels have a way of taking a great player and making him a utility guy, right? I mean, Pujols, Rendon. Let's just I would say out of the trash heap that is Anaheim or California, whatever we're
Hold
calling
on,
them
dude.
this
We're
week.
we're talking about the Nationals.
I okay, I know, but I know a little more about the Angels, so I'm trying to act knowledgeable. Okay, God, give me a second, give me a minute here, guy. Um, I would say Hamilton was probably the only guy who kind of sort of did well. Okay, but let's go back to the Nationals. I think that they actually made the best free agent signing probably in history. They signed Max Scherzer back in the day when nobody wanted to sign him. They signed him to a 7-year deal, deferred half the money, which is one of your favorites.
Yeah,
And
they're still paying that dude 15 mil a year.
well, you got him a World Series.
I
And they got a
guess.
boatload of prospects from the Dodgers when they traded him. Josiah Gray,
Yep.
once again, though, there is an example of when you trade the superstar, you're very unlikely to get anybody good in the hall back with young prospects.
Or at least equivalent to the superstar you gave up. You might get some good players, some serviceable major leaguers, but replacing superstar doesn't really happen.
Right.
Same thing happened when they traded Soto. A couple of those guys are on their roster now, and they're good players, but they're not superstars the way Soto was.
Sure.
And I say was because
Well,
this year he is not.
he's starting to get a little hot, but I mean, you're right.
Starting to.
They've only got what 12 more years or 14 more years left on that deal. It should work out real well. He seems like a kind of guy who's going to age really well.
But
What
I
is
mean,
he?
if you look at the national situation, they're one of these teams that doesn't have, the unlimited resources that other teams do, like the Yankees, the Dodgers, the supposedly the Red Sox, the Cubs.
You know what,
They
I'm
all
gonna
have,
call.
they all,
No,
well,
no.
wait. They all have plenty of money,
Okay.
but some don't have the extra money. So they did what they had to do.
Well, what have they done?
Well, they've
Let's
tried to
let's
rebuild.
wow. Name me a free agent. Josh
It,
Bell. Oh wow. Well, boy, I
you
bet
don't get
that
the
was front page.
Well, you don't get the free agents until you have quality players there for them to come and take to the next level. No
Oh,
star free agent signs with a crappy team ever.
okay. I
Name
guess the
one.
Mets were good. Well, I mean, you know, I don't know.
Nobody,
Well,
nobody is signing with the Milwaukee Brewers. No star
okay,
free
okay,
agent is
okay, okay,
going.
okay, okay, okay. Hold on. Carlos Correa signed with Minnesota. Are they a crappy team? What are they?
They're
Explain.
always
Tell me
they're
who the
always in
crappy teams are.
contention in. Well, the crappy teams are the ones that are never sniffing the playoffs. Okay,
Okay,
the Twins are sniffing the playoffs. They're getting in there every few years.
okay,
They don't ever do anything. They always get their ass kicked, but at least
right.
they're getting there every few years, right?
Okay.
So a guy might think, hey, I can help this team get over the top. But that ain't happening with Miami. That ain't happening with the Nationals. That ain't happening with the Pirates. You know,
Well, I
it,
mean, you're talking about teams that aren't even offering these free agents any money. I mean, let me ask you this. Okay, let's get to this. If you're a free agent, what's more important, the money or the place?
uh, the money.
No, you're
The money
absolutely
is.
incorrect.
That's why they always go to the highest bidder.
No, Judge didn't. Supposedly, San Francisco offered $45 million. It was his hometown, and he said, "Hey, give me the pinstripes." Of course, they offered him the C. But I mean, at the end of the day, I personally think they go where they want to go, sure, but they make sure they get the same comparable money. Do you really think Juan Soto wanted to go to the Mets? Probably not. I don't know where he wanted to go. But at the end of the day, he was going to get the same money, right? I think they work
Well,
in concert.
I think a lot of them. So you take Judge, same money in San Francisco as opposed to New York. Let's say it was the exact same, and
Okay.
one of them is his hometown. But you have to look at the extracurricular income that will come from being a Yankee versus a Giant.
Yeah. Look,
He's going to
let me,
make a ton of money just of the fact that all of his imagery and everything else is in New York, in the
you know,
pinstripes.
Mike Trout's a Philadelphia guy, right? He could have, I mean, he signed a huge contract. Now, granted, he does seem like the cat who's very loyal. Okay. And when they put 400+ million on the table, it's kind of hard to say no. But
This was an
why
extension too. It wasn't free agency.
correct. Yep, absolutely correct. But I mean, the rumor was he was always going to go back east. That was always the rumor. It never came to fruition. And now the Angels wish they weren't stuck with that. But hey, don't worry. You only got another 10 years. Don't worry, guys. It's all going to work out. He's going to hit a home run every 2 months. You guys are good. Let me give you some stats. And this is crazy. So we're going to talk about run differential, which is not always, but most of the time, it's a pretty good indicator of where you are as a team. Like, for instance, the Orioles are minus 82. That means they've been outscored by 82 runs in all their games this year. The Detroit Tigers are plus 106. Let's get down to the Washington Nationals. Oh, the Angels are minus 49. There's the aberration. They're 43 and 46 because I got to bring up the Angels, right? The Athletics are minus 140, but Washington is minus 86 and the Atlanta is plus 4. I mean, that is let me get to my favorite team. The Colorado Rockies are what do you think the run differential with the Colorado Rockies is right now, Brian?
Oh, right now I'm going to say uh, minus 128.
That is a very good guess, but you are incredibly off. And I would have said about the same. They are minus 229.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. You know what they just decided in Colorado? When you get incarcerated for a criminal offense, you can either do the jail time or go to Rockies games. One of the two, okay? There you go. So,
Hey,
yeah.
if you're gonna lose, you might as well lose big,
Oh, I hate
right?
that
You've
crap.
heard
I
go
hate
big or
that.
go home, right?
No, I hate that crap. I mean, and to your point, Luis Severino signed that big free agent contract with the Athletics, and boy, that really worked out well. I'm sure he really wanted to play in Sacramento. Yeah, how's that going there, guys? We can't get to Vegas soon enough. Can we just play in a pop-up tent in a field out there, guys? All right, let us talk about Clayton Kershaw, truly one of the best pitchers of our era. On the DL quite frequently. He pitches his 10 to 12 games a year and then is injured before the playoffs so he can dress up in the nice, clean white uniform and cheer on his team. He got a special invite to the All Star game. What did you think of that, Brian?
Ridiculous.
Okay.
The All Star game, in my opinion, the Major League Baseball All Star game was the last one that had any real credibility as something that mattered. And that went away quite a while ago. And it's getting worse and worse and more of a joke every year. And
Well, why
this,
do you think it
I
lost
saw this
credibility? Why do you think it lost? Let's get to that.
because
Why do you?
it, uh, the advent, I mean, it goes way back, but the advent of free agency and the guys switching teams so frequently. Because before there was, I know I'm dating myself, get off my lawn, whatever,
Oh, boy.
but there was pride in your league being the better league. And uh, free agency was part of it, but not so much. But then that when the interleague play came in,
Right.
because it used to be you never got to see guys face off against the guys in the other league. Now
Right.
we see it every day.
But do you think,
And
okay,
it
let
was
me ask you.
something special about, George Brett from the Royals going
Sure.
up against, you know, whoever on the Cubs. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Sure.
It was something unique and special, and you looked forward to it. You couldn't wait to see, uh, Ron Guidry trying to strike out Steve Garvey or something like
Right.
that.
Right. Steve
That kind
Carlton,
of
Steve. Hmm.
yes, and that stuff has gone away because now we see it every day.
Well, do you think interleague play is a good thing?
I think it was a good thing at the time, but I think it's kind of run its course and it's taken away from some of baseball's uh, the specialness of baseball that it used to have that this generation doesn't even know because interleague started in what,
Right.
95,
Yeah.
96?
Yeah. Somewhere in that range.
And it
Right.
used to be when they first started, it was only like 2 weeks a year. And
Right.
they would do,
There was like four series. Yes. Right.
yes. And
Right.
now it's just
And they
everybody
were
plays
local.
everybody all
They
the time.
typically started out with local, right? I mean, that was what the
Correct.
thing is.
And that was kind of neat. You got those inner city things like the Dodgers and the Angels, the New York teams, the Chicago teams, the Texas teams would play each other, the Bay Area teams would play stuff like that. That was kind of
Boston would
regional.
play Atlanta because, back in the day, I guess we all came from Milwaukee. So, yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
But it was, but then now it just becomes so much that it's every week because they altered the leagues to where they both have 15 teams. So now you have to have at least one every week, every series. And I
So,
think it's just taken away from the specialness of baseball. And now it is truly just an exhibition. And, they don't really care who wins. That's why they make sure that they got to get every player in, which is why, when was it? 98,
they
99, whatever, where they ran out of guys. So
tie.
they just called it.
They called the tie.
Unbelievable. Come on.
You know what, though? You don't want to get a player injured in the All Star game. It is, out of the four major sports, it is the only good All Star game. Okay, maybe it's not at the level you're talking about. I get it. But at the end of the day, I think these players do care when they lace it up. I mean, that's just the animal. You can't take it easy in baseball. It's 110 miles an hour all the time. All right.
Well, I don't know. I kind of disagree with their.
Well,
I mean,
tell me an
granted,
all-star game that's better.
nobody. I don't think any of them are worth it anymore.
Well, I think baseball is. I think that's still a competitive game. I mean, really, do you think the All-Star game is a better game than Colorado against Milwaukee? Yeah, I think so. I think I'll be signing up for that ticket.
All
Okay.
right, I'll
All
give
right.
it to you. Whatever.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the Guardians real quick. Lost 10 in a row. They're 9-22 since June 1st. You know, I I think the Guardians are a very, very well run organization. They are on a budget. Once again, like you talk about, there's another team that really doesn't sign free agents, and they got literally Jose Ramirez for pennies on the dollar. Do you think it's just one of those things where you can only juice the pump so much, and now they're kind of running
Yes,
out? Okay.
yes. Especially, it and teams in their situation will go through these ups and downs like this. They've had a pretty solid run.
Yeah,
I mean, since Terry Francona got there, and
sure.
he's gone now, but they've had a pretty good run for a mid-level team. Uh, but they got to rebuild it through their minor league system, and they got to get they've been great at doing that, pulling up these pitchers that we haven't heard of, and they're really good for a couple of years till they blow out their arms and so on and so forth. And it's basically they're like the Rays. They got to build it
What?
up. Guys are going to leave as free agents, and then they can keep it going. So this might be their down year. Maybe they get a couple of guys coming up in their system next year. We'll see. But
You know, I would say they're one of three teams that I can think of in Major League Baseball, excuse me, that are exceptional at developing pitching talent. I would say them, the Marlins, and the Braves are extraordinary. Yeah, every
don't
so
forget the
often a team
Rays.
get. Well, I mean, who have they put out Charlie Morton. Are we going to say him?
No, they
Maybe, I
didn't
guess.
develop him. They didn't
Okay.
develop him. Blake Snell,
Okay, great. And
Glass now.
I can make I can make the argument. You're going to tell me the Chicago White Sox with Chris Sale and Crochet?
No, because two over 15 years doesn't mean you're developing pitchers.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. Right. Yeah. Sorry. All right. Anything else you want to talk about in the world of baseball?
Oh, uh, how did the Red Sox, our favorite team, who we're so frustrated with, land three guys on the All-Star team?
Because because literally the American League is a dumpster fire. I'm going to give you a question right now. You know as much about baseball as anybody. What division in baseball has the most teams over 500? I'll give you a hint. They got four over 500 out of the five in the division.
Uh,
It's a
so
one
what's
in
the?
six.
It's the AL West, isn't it?
No, it's well because the Angels lost three with Toronto. Okay, you were
Oh,
close.
well, I
It's
mean the
the
NL West. I meant the NL West.
no, actually, that's what I would have said. I would have said
Okay, I'm
that.
0 for 2.
Yeah, you're not doing well. We might have to replace you.
Fixing my
Is your
morning
dog
coffee.
available? How about your wife in the Echo Village you got going in your backyard? The NL Central has four teams: the Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Louis, and Cincinnati, all over 500. God, who would have thought that? I
Nobody.
know. All right, all right, okay. Well, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Look at you. You're getting ready, having that cup of coffee. All right. If you could, everybody out there, hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And we'll see you soon on Off the Rails Sports Podcast.